My question has to do with how to go to work on people who are actually showing a kind of fighting spirit. And I'm talking about people like even in the middle strata right now who are confronting politicians, you know, while they're out to dinner, these fascist politicians, people who are not allowing even just the average citizen, the fascist brown shirt, to harass them, but are actually like fighting back in some sort of sense. When I hear these stories, what I see is like the potential of people to actually act outside of what the Democrats are telling them to do. Because basically the Democrats have said, no, be civil, be civil, be civil. Trump and, you know, the regime is constantly coming up with all these policies, these fascist policies, and emboldening these fascists to do things like this. They're leaving people, you know, twisting in the wind, you know, and I'm actually reminded of that line in Neil Young's Ohio, "We're finally on our own." This kind of fighting spirit that people have shown has to get like bigger. And I'm wondering, as revolutionaries, how do we draw that out of people? Not just the basic masses, but people in the middle strata too, and even in the upper class.
Well, I think one of the things about, you know, any serious movement, and certainly a revolutionary movement, is it has to be very bold. Nobody's going to be attracted to something, you know, if you're saying that you want to change the whole world, you want to go up against the whole system, but you come off as if you're, you know, kind of conservative. it's not going to really come across to people as real. You know, if you know, in other words, by conservative, I mean if you're kind of like always playing by the rules and, you know, always playing it close to the vest. Now, let me be clear. We should not be reckless. I talked about the fact that there's going to be sacrifice, but we should really not have unnecessary losses and sacrifices. But you do have to take risks to change the world, and certainly you have to take risks to make a revolution. And you do have to be bold if you want to capture the imagination of people, even people, as you were saying, in the, you know, coming from the middle classes, let alone, you know, people who are, you know, catching hell every day. You got to be bold. And we, you know, we have to find ways to be out there really being bold. And I think, you know, I think this is great, this incivility that's going on. You know, all this talk about civility, well, yes, it's true. History has proven over and over again that if you're very civil toward fascists and you don't do anything to upset or anger them, they won't do anything bad. History has proven that over and over again, right? No. You know, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're only too happy to have you roll over and play dead and be civil with them so that they can keep right on doing what they're doing with less obstacles in the way. So, you know, I think it's great what people are doing. You know, I mean, you know, it's not, they're not physically attacking them. You know, in fact, it's the fascists who physically attack people and threaten people. But they are hounding them in a very good way. They're letting them be known that we don't accept what you're all about. It's not, you know, we're not going to say it's normal. We're not going to say it's acceptable. We're not going to say that you can just go about doing this and we're going to treat you as if you are, you know, are deserve to be respected. And I think there needs to be a lot more of that. You know, not just the hounding of individuals, but a lot more bold actions that really galvanize what this is actually about, that really sharply bring out what this is, what the stakes are with this regime. I mean, look at how they're doing things. Who ever heard of you know, they're breaking all the bourgeois rules. You know, all the rules of how the system has been operating, they're breaking them all the time. Look, who ever heard of a candidate, in recent times anyway, who ran for president, you know, and, you know, said that his opponent should be locked up? I mean, right there, that should have told all these people that all your civility is not going to get you anywhere. You know, remember, you watched the Republican convention and the Trump rallies, lock her up, lock her up. And look, Hillary Clinton represents what she does. She's a, she's a warmongering representative of this system who would have done terrible things had she been president, and has done terrible things as Secretary of State and in other key positions. But, there was something really disgusting about that whole lock her up thing, not just, the breaking of the conventions of how their politics is supposed to go, but there was a definite element of male chauvinism in all this, of just misogyny. Look, Hillary Clinton is no champion of women or anyone else, but she was certainly attacked by many of these people because she was a woman, as well as for other reasons. And it was really disgusting. And this is just another. I mean, you can go down the line, to all the things that they're doing, and people have to be broken out of the idea. The fascists are going about trampling on and breaking down and destroying all these norms of how things are supposed to be done because they have to in order to implement their program. If they play by the rules as they've been, they'll get bogged down and they won't be able to implement what they're setting out to do. So they're trampling on and breaking down all these norms, and the answer of the Democrats is, we will oppose them by upholding all the norms that they're destroying. We will use all the norms that they're destroying to oppose them. That's like somebody, set your house on fire and burn your house to the ground, and you say, I'm going to use my house as a base from which to oppose those people who burned it down. This is the idiocy, because they are that section of the ruling class. That's how they believe that the only way that society should be run, number one. And number two, they are deathly afraid of people breaking out of those norms and, taking to the streets and doing what people have done anytime there has been any meaningful change, even short of revolution. They're deathly, they don't, if there's protest at all, it has to be very, choreographed and ritualized and within a certain framework, and it always has to be brought back to be sure you go out and register and vote. This is, people take to the streets, around the whole, Trump and women, the Women's March. Be sure you vote. All these youth pour out into the streets after this school shooting in Florida. Be sure you go out and vote. I mean, it's like they want to keep everything within these channels, and they're deathly afraid of people breaking out of those channels. And that's exactly what needs to happen if there's going to be any meaningful chance to actually, prevent this fascist regime from further consolidating its rule and carrying out its horrific program. So the people who understand that now need to be very bold, not only in getting that message out, but without being reckless, also be very bold and act in what they do, in their actions. What you do, as well as what you say, has to be consistent with what you recognize and what you say the actual risks and stakes are of this situation. That's my point about coming off conservative, is if you're conservative. If you say things are very extreme, the dangers are very great, the risks are very high, but then you act as if that's not the case, then there's even less chance people are going to take you seriously. So you have to, in everything we do, we have to challenge people, not stupidly, not in an infantile manner, not in a way that just sort of needlessly and gratuitously insults people, but in a way that challenges them, in a way that both challenges and provokes and inspires them. And that goes for everything. That goes for building this mass movement to drive out this regime through nonviolent but sustained massive protest. And it goes for the whole revolution and building that revolution. You have to be acting in a way that's consistent with what you say the problem and the solution is, and not in a way that contradicts it and makes people think that you don't really believe it. So I think there needs to be a lot more of a lot of times small things can contribute to big things eventually happening or happening even soon. It's not just one little thing adds up, but sometimes even smaller scale things can lead to this geometric, or whatever you want to call it, exponential growth, where things grow by leaps and bounds because people get provoked and inspired, and all of a sudden the dam break. What we need to be working for is the dam to break. There are tens of millions of people who are really upset and angry about this, and they do come out, they came out around the immigrant children, they do come out around different things, but the dam hasn't broken to where they say, to hell with playing by the rules here, and to hell with listening to the Democratic Party insist that we have to play by the rules and be civil. We've got to take to the streets. I mean, look, if you took one of their infamous polls, I feel very confident in saying that the great majority of people who are upset about Trump and everything represented by that, and not enough recognizing Pence, but nevertheless, very upset by that, if you just said to them, agree or disagree with the following statement: Trump, Pence must go. They should no longer be president and vice president as of 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I feel a great majority of people would agree with that. But then there's the question, are they going to act on it? And the ways have to be found to both challenge and provoke, as well as inspire them to actually act on that and keep going at it in different ways until that dam breaks and they do actually bring their own actions in line with with their sentiments, which has not yet happened.